if all of a sudden this opens up, you know how many cases I got with the Department of Justice, and I put on the video and I gave you case numbers? 177 cases. I got everybody. And I got remember where U.S. Attorney Lowen, meaning we got the most powerful federal prosecutor leveraged. He hands the ball to Sessions and Barr. And Sessions and Barr sat on the Pandora's box, let's call it, the laundering network. So just as Flynn kept the evidence away from Trump, remember, December 18th, from in that room, Flynn and Powell contacted me. What? From the Oval Office? Why? And I verified this with Juan, and he admitted the FBI had my number, gave it to Flynn, and told Flynn, listen, we're gonna take Trump out. You gotta hold this guy at bay, because that evidence could take to have Trump stay in office, which is what was promised. And what, you think that's impossible? What do you think Trump's using to save his own freedom and life? The exact same evidence, the same thing with me. You see, that was always the plan.
Yeah. So I know Flynn, Berge actually exposed Flynn early on. So unfortunately, he's flipped if that's the case. But we talked about that on a show one time where Flynn had been coordinating J6. I've had Scott Bennett on, who's another former military intelligence officer and PSYOPs officer. So both of those guys together, exposed Flynn pretty hardcore. Now, when I look at Flynn, I've been around a lot of military guys over my career, and I can see through the BS like you can see through BS too. I saw you see through. I knew the one person that saw this PSYOP had to be you. As I'm seeing it, I'm going, Mike's seeing it. So I'm watching because I'm saying, now what Mike going to do? Because the one guy out there who sees this PSYOP, think about this. Flynn did, what's the motive? Who's taking Trump's place? The guy who took him out. Who's his campaign manager? The guy who took him out. And think about this. If what we're saying is true, and this person's in taking control, what would his resume look like? I don't know, General Flynn? What do we got? A miracle shot that just happens to appear? That was the motive. That's the hint. I mean, they're right in your face. The guy who takes them out is now the guy who's going to run for president. I mean, and then look at the network behind them. It was all a PSYOP. They were collecting your money, telling you, thinking you were supporting Trump, where it was all Flynn. Right. Now the military, I've had some guys on that have talked about how the military, the CIA, and the mob are all connected, and they took out, JFK. Now, could be the same situation here, putting pressure on Trump, because on that day, on J6, we had basically the head of security for the Capitol Police calling the Pentagon to get, help. And they stalled him, and then finally he gets through and he's talking to her general. And one of the generals with this other general in the Pentagon is Mike Flynn, who is a retired general. What is a retired general doing in the Pentagon, advising, them on J6 not to send the National Guard to stop the rioting from basically, as we know now, the deep state, created J6, action rioting. So,
which is what I said.
I'm like, he's a criminal to me.
Which is what I said on January 7th. Don't forget, I was working with the team that put January 6th together, the Flynn team. My position was, they promised me two things: that my evidence was used to save the president and release the evidence to the American people. They turned around, and you see the text messages between us. The FBI knows. The FBI threatened me. The FBI says if I help Trump, they threaten my kids. You see the communication back to Flynn and his team. My children are in danger. The FBI knows what you're doing. It's a setup.
And all the fear sea, and all the waves, the sea, and on the road